The Plakatstil art movement originated in Germany in the year 1906 and lasted until the year 1930. The title Plakatstil actually originated from the German language, meaning poster style. It also goes by the name Sackplakat. There are several artists who were very influential within this movement, including Lucien Bernhard, who was responsible for actually starting the movement back in the year 1906. There was also Ludwig Hohlwein, a German artist who was a pioneer in the Sackplakat art style. And there was also Hans Rudi Ert, another popular graphic designer who lived in Germany in the early 20th century, who also had a great influence in the Plakatstil movement. The movement arose when a bunch of young German artists wanted to move away from the Art Nouveau arts and crafts and Victorian art style that was common at the time, and wanted to start doing a more colorful and simplistic art style. These artists really wanted to have a new art style in a world that felt like it wasn't fit for the old art styles anymore. It was Lucien Bernhard who made the leap in realizing that art could be bright and colorful using minimalistic techniques. The style of Plakatstil is one that relies on basic shapes and minimalistic figures rather than literal illustrations of objects to promote an idea. One of the main techniques in this style is to leave a lot of negative space in order to draw the viewer's attention to the main object being portrayed. This was often done with the color black, but often with other colors too, such as red, blue, orange, etc. These techniques are beneficial because the more simplistic an image is, the more the viewer is willing to try and figure out what the image is trying to convey, and the more likely the image is willing to stick with the viewer after they stop looking at it. You can especially tell in these images how the simplistic shapes and the vibrant colors allow the objects and images to pop right off the page. During this movement, it was companies and businesses and corporations that were using this art style on their posters to help promote and advertise their own businesses and or products. This is what originally inspired modern-day logos of companies to be more visually interesting and be more recognizable. For instance, when you look at this poster for Krylon, both the can and the title itself stand out very well against the background, so that you'll easily remember the term Krylon and maybe be interested in the product after you're done looking at this poster. This could cause potential customers to be interested in what this product actually does and encourage them to go find out, learn more about the product, and possibly encourage them to make a purchase of it. The same can be said for this poster for Dutch candy canes. The dark, bold lettering against this lime green background, along with the red and white cane shapes portrayed against the green background, will really help leave a lasting impression on you and maybe have you in the mood to buy some more candy canes. And of course, the fact that this poster utilizes the colors red and green to advertise this festive treat sure doesn't hurt either. One reason I believe this art movement actually stands out more against a lot of the other art movements of the 20th century is that this art movement actually takes pride in simplicity. This movement did a lot to show that not all illustrations or images really need to be that super detailed or defined in order to have a lasting impression and to make an impact on viewers and audiences. This image right here was able to take the colors orange and blue and take a few basic shapes and was able to create such a powerful and striking image that's able to convey an idea and concept without needing any words at all to describe it. Now that's not to say that typography can't be utilized in Plakatstil, because there are plenty of times when this art form can actually be used to embold words and type. This design here allows the company's or brand's title to stand out drastically from the rest of the poster. If you were a worker who lived in early 20th century Germany and you passed this poster going to and from work every day, eventually the name Tivoli would stick with you, and that is likely a key component that would help allow this brand to stick out from the competition. One of the really neat things about this is that the colors are interchangeable. The colors that are used for the object of focus and the negative space in the background can be interchanged with literally any color you can imagine. For instance, while black seems to be the main color for the foreground in this image, black actually ends up being the color of the object in focus for this image. Typically speaking, it's complementary colors, or colors from opposite ends of the color wheel, that allow objects or shapes to pop out more from the rest of the designs on these posters. It's easy to see how this art movement actually had quite an influential impact on the rest of the art world as we know it today. You can see how modern brands and logos use very basic shapes and colors in their logos in the same way that brands and companies used shapes and colors in their advertisements back in the early 20th century in Germany. Basic designs that you would easily be able to recognize if you were to glance at them quickly on a billboard or a t-shirt and easily be able to correlate them with the company or business that they represent. In retrospect, it's quite fascinating how a small art movement in early 20th century Germany ended up sparking a huge cultural phenomenon that changed a huge aspect of the art industry all over the world. That just goes to show that even the smallest influences can have some of the biggest effects.